Instagram is easily one of the most popular social media networks around today, but if you do it right, it can also be one of the most profitable ones too. And that's why in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down an Instagram marketing strategy that will not only work today, but will serve you for years to come. All right, let's get to it. Hey there, Erhart here, marketing strategist, and welcome to The Marketing Show. Alright, full disclaimer before we dive in. This video is not going to be some cheap trick or hack or marketing sleazy idea that's going to allow you to buy followers or just fake your way to success. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to be sorely disappointed by this video. But on the other hand, if you want to build a real business, develop a loyal following, and learn skills that will serve you for years to come, well, then this is for you, and you're going to want to stick around. Because that's what this video is all about. A strategy that is so simple and yet so hard that even the most battle-seasoned social media marketers fear the challenge. I'm talking about mastering the 6 pillars of Instagram marketing. But before we dive in, first a story to tie this all together. Years ago, I used to be a business jet pilot. And when you're a pilot, the sole goal or the sole way that you build experience and essentially ascend the ranks of pilothood, pilotry? Of being a pilot is that you want to build hours. They're called hours because they're the number of hours that you spend flying a plane. More hours equals more experience, which tends to equal more dollars. Now this is great in theory, and the goal of every new pilot is to build up as many hours as quickly as possible. But there does come a problem if and when you decide that you want to leave the aviation industry and start a business or even get a different job. And that is that outside of aviation, nobody cares about your hours. Like literally nobody. I don't think anybody has ever asked me how many hours I've flown. That's because hours are non-transferable and they're really only relevant to the aviation industry. Now, that's not to say that everything I did in aviation is non-transferable. After all, I learned some incredibly valuable skills that really set me up for success when it came to starting my own business and building up a number of different very successful agencies. For one, I learned that I had to be 100% accountable, and that's what I now demand from my marketing, ensuring that it's 100% accountable to what I want it to do. I also learned the importance of following systems and setting up procedures and standard operating procedures or SOPs and their value in running a business. I'm also now able to beat pretty much anybody at Flight Simulator. Yeah, I'm kidding on that one. I'm pretty much terrible at Flight Simulator. There's basically no transference from flying a real plane to flying Flight Simulator. Turns out real planes and video games are very different. Who'd have thought? And that's why in this episode, I don't want to equip you with non-transferable skills that are only going to last you inside the Instagram platform. Rather, I want to give you a number of different skills that you're going to be able to take across all of your marketing, across all of your business, and across any new social media network that ever comes up again. But it's not just about the future, it's also about the present. And that's why when you learn and when you master, when you deploy the skills that I'm about to share with you now, your Instagram marketing results have nowhere to go but up. So with all that said, let's dive right in. The first Instagram marketing pillar that you need to learn, that you need to love, and that you need to hopefully one day master is all about video. Probably no surprise that people love video, whether we're talking about it in the feed, whether we're talking about in Instagram stories, whether we're talking about it with lives, which we're going to cover later. People just like consuming video. This is why if you want your Instagram to grow, if you want to attract more people to your business, if you want to build up an authority brand or anything like that, you're going to need to create more and ideally better video content as often and as much as possible. Now I appreciate it is a little overwhelming to start, especially if you've never done video content, but fortunately, it doesn't have to be overly produced, Hollywood-style cinematic productions or anything like that. You can literally just grab your phone, hit record, and start there. Seriously, we've seen a huge change and a really positive trend away from hyper polished and just amazingly beautiful videos and towards more raw and authentic and real videos. So don't let technology or your lack of editing or your lack of a really expensive camera or any of that stuff stop you from, again, just grabbing your phone and hitting record and telling your story. All right, the next pillar is a little bit weird because Instagram isn't necessarily known for this, but I'm talking about audio and audio content. We're already starting to see this trend on other social media channels, whether we're talking about YouTube or even Facebook. People are watching videos, but they're not really watching, they're just listening to the audio stuff. This is why learning to use and to leverage audio content inside Instagram, and of course on other platforms later as well, is a really valuable skill to have. Now, I can already hear some of the kickback. I mean, after all, Instagram isn't a podcast, it's not really an audio channel, it's pretty visual. Well, fortunately, there are companies that allow you to take audio clips and create audiograms, or essentially those things that you might see in your feed sometimes, which are really just kind of squiggly lines showing off sound waves with maybe a simple picture or maybe even a video in the background. Or if even that sounds too complicated, you could just make a video and then really focus in on the audio and on the content and on the words or the music or whatever the message is that people are going to hear with their ears instead of with their eyes. I guess you don't hear things with your eyes. Anyway, let's move on to the next pillar, which is all about text. Probably no secret here, but text is one of the greatest skills that you could ever hope to master when it comes to marketing, because it's been around forever. I guess that's totally not true. It's not been around forever. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years, and the written word, well, that's certainly been around since the Gutenberg press really made it available to everybody. But let's not make this a history lesson. Rather, let's just focus in on the importance of text and its value in Instagram and of course on other platforms as well. I'm talking about the captions that you write with your posts. I'm talking about any of the titles or the captions that you put on your stories. Anytime that you're using words, the written word or the typed word, I guess, well, that's all text-based marketing. And it's still really effective and really easy to do. Of course, it's harder to master, and that's why you want to spend some time practicing and really honing your craft, trying to write captions that are more descriptive and more enthralling and more interesting and get people to take a certain action. And the same can be said when we're talking about stories, trying to write more compelling titles, more compelling smaller captions, and really trying to say a whole lot more in a whole lot less just because you don't have that much space. Okay, let's move on to the fourth pillar, which is what Instagram is known for, and that's all about really high quality images. When it comes to Instagram, there is no shortage of different ideas and inspiration that you can get for what kind of images are going to work best for you and for your business. We can use things like quote cards. We can use stock photos, ideally not, but you could use them. You can take your own shots. You can get professional shots done. You can have graphics made. You can have pretty much anything that you can think of made up into an image or into a graphic for posting. This gives you a huge amount of creativity and the ability to really test all sorts of different stuff to find out what style resonates best with you and with your market and with your business and with your feed in general. Just remember that one of the most important things that you could ever hope to do with your images is to really grab someone's attention, to catch their eye and to pull them in so that they'll eventually read your caption where you can do the rest of your convincing and your persuading and your influencing. That's huge, like really, really important. The point of your image should be to stop the scroll, stop somebody from just mindlessly whipping through their feed, get their attention, get them to read your caption so you can do your influencing and your persuading there. Now, just like there are thousands of different styles and ideas that you could use and draw inspiration from, well, there's an equal amount of tools and software and ways to design these, from free tools like Canva to paid tools like Photoshop. You really just have to pick whichever is going to work best for you, your budget, and your business. All right, let's talk about the next pillar, which is one of the most frightening of all for people, and that is IG Live or Instagram Live. Essentially the ability to hit live and then go live to the whole world, or at least to your following. This is one of the greatest tools that you could use when it comes to building up your brand and building up your self-confidence, because especially when you're first getting started, hitting that live button is terrifying. I remember the first time I ever went live on Periscope, which, rest its soul, is now gone. I remember hitting that live button and feeling immediate fear, immediate dread, and my mouth going dry as a cotton ball. It was not my proudest moment, but I recovered, had a sip of water, and carried on through, even though I think like 3 people maybe showed up to it. The point is that it started to build up a habit and a routine, and it started to allow me to realize that this wasn't so scary, and it was actually kind of cool, really fun. It's also amazing practice for thinking on your toes and developing the ability to answer questions on the fly and really to engage and respond with your community and with your followers. If you ever have any desire or any intention to get into something like public speaking or putting on workshops, well, this is a great way to practice in a pretty low risk and safe environment, because if all else fails, you can just turn it off. Hey, where'd Adam go? All right, let's talk about the next pillar, which is DMs or direct messages. Now, Instagram has one of the best DM platforms available today, and it's really growing in popularity, especially as we're watching organic reach, meaning the stuff that you put out there, just not seeing the same amount of people. Well, as that sort of declines, the importance of building up connection and community and having those conversations in the DMs is growing in importance. The important thing that I want you to take away when it comes to using direct messages, when it comes to DMs, is that this is a very valid feature to have real, genuine conversations with real people. This is not a great place to automate and throw in bots and throw in all sorts of fake marketing materials, rather to allocate as much time as is reasonable to having conversations with your tribe, with your following, with your audience, and with your customers. A lot of business can, and will continue to go down in the DMs. So If that's part of your strategy, make sure to spend some time there. All right, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is check out the video I have linked up right here on Instagram marketing for small business, which is gonna give you even more strategies. So check that out now, and I'll see you in the next episode. Consistency, clarity, and congruence. Consistency means that you're applying a regular schedule, meaning you're posting regularly, you're checking in regularly.